Give me a bottle of water in the freezer. I put 2 in. Please. I put 2 in this morning. Gaia, I'm on live. Thank you. All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon, whomever is in the room. Thank you for joining. Okay. It's a kind of a impromptu live. Kinda. I thought about doing this last night at some point, and so I'm doing it now. So you can see the title. Let's talk about perimenopause and menopause. I do not plan on being on here long with this. Okay, I was gonna do it this evening, but something came up and I got something else that I have to attend to this evening. Let's talk about this. I want to tell you about my experience. Okay. Now, I have a person on this app who has been berating me and slandering me, defaming my character, so on and so forth, for a couple of years now. For the most part, I ignore her. Okay. But every now and then, you can see see in my comments that I speak to it. So I did a live last night, my Come to the Carpet session that I've been doing, that segment. And what this person tends to do, what she tends to do, is whatever I say, she bites off of it in some way, shape, or form. Okay. And just copies. And it's really obvious that's what she does. I'm not the only person that she has attacked on this app. There have been others, probably in real life as well. Okay. But anyway, I did a Virgo reading because my channel is basically a tarot channel, but I'll talk about whatever I want at the time, okay? And she made a comment under there, laughing out something about nice act old lady or something to that effect. Good afternoon to whomever's in the room. Thank you for joining. And I was like, okay, it was very obvious that it was her because that's what she does. Makes fake, I don't know, I hear some people say smoothie or something like that, but makes fake channels and stuff like that, just to troll. And she did that because I spoke about negative comments last night. And that's what she does. She bites off of, I'm not the only person, this is what she does, bites off of what you say and then post something negative and slanderous and hateful towards you. But this isn't so much about her and what she did. I'm just giving some background as to why I decided to go ahead and talk about this. Because like I said, before that happened, before I even did, hold on. Before I even did the live, I thought about it. Before I did the last night's live, I thought about it. But anyway, I hold on. Okay. All right. Just thinking about something. All right, before I thought about talking about this. Now, in my Virgo reading, if you watch my readings, you know I get hot. Okay, I get hot and I get sweating and shit. Okay, and I spoke about that yesterday in the Virgo reading, and I said, so she's calling me an old lady. These things are supposed to hurt my feelings. Okay, but they don't. But again, this isn't about her. This is background as to why I said, well, let me go ahead and do this. Okay. Let me talk about this now. Okay. So, people that haters and whatnot, they give you content. Good afternoon to whomever is in the room. So I want to talk about this. I'm going to make it brief as possible. Okay. Because me and my daughter want to hit the road. Okay, and go hang out. All right, but anyway, perimenopause. Okay, and the reason I wanted to do this, I first experienced symptoms of perimenopause probably when I was, I think about 43, maybe 42 or 43 years old. I started having symptoms. Okay, heart palpitations, getting hot, not sweating, but just getting hot, like from here, and it going like it starts here and it just goes throughout your body. Okay, but the heart palpitations were like short. The heat that I would feel within it was short. Okay, and those are the only two symptoms I remember experiencing at that time. And I didn't really think it was, well, of course, in my cycle was lighter, okay? I really didn't think about much of it at that time, those particular symptoms. I was working out a lot. I was working really, heavy working. I was lifting weights and I was doing cardio, like 4 or 5 days a week, okay? And so I thought maybe that was it. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't harp on it. I didn't worry about it. And another thing that I experienced was plantar fasciitis. Okay, where my heel, okay, on one of my, I think it was my right foot. Oh my God, it was bothering me so bad. So I thought it was my shoes. And I was working out all the time, so I was always in workout clothes. Okay, tennis shoes. So I went and bought me some new tennis shoes, thinking, oh, I'll probably just need some new tennis shoes or sneakers, whatever you call them, wherever you're from. This region, they say tennis shoes. Okay, all right. And because the ones I had were kind of old, so I said maybe I need some new ones. So but I was still having it and whatnot. Didn't think anything more of it except my foot hurts. And I'm not the type of person that's going to run to the doctor, for every little thing. Okay, sometimes shit passes. I mean, we have a human body. It's going to, thank you for the one thumbs up. It's going to act up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's going to do. That doesn't mean that just because it acts up, you got a little cough, a little sneeze, okay? You woke up, your knees hurt a little bit or whatever, that you got to run to the doctor for everything, okay, immediately. So I don't, and I didn't. But as time went on, the symptoms got a little heavier, became a little bit more, okay. I had found myself the job that I was working at. I had a panic attack, which I've never, or I don't know if you want to call it a panic attack, anxiety attack, whatever. Never experienced anything like that in my life, okay. Never had any panic attacks, never had any anxiety attacks, nothing. And I didn't know what it was. They called the ambulance and stuff. I went, and I was like, what the fuck was that? Okay. Let me see some. I got to plug in my phone. It bothered. Did I unplug it? There, hold on. Let me see. It bothered my. Okay, hold on real quick. Please. Okay. It bothered my head a little bit, like, when I left. The lady who raised me, she came and got me because I was kind of scared to, I had to get my car because it was at my job or whatever. I was like, what the fuck was that? Never, like I said, never experienced anything like that. Never had panic attacks, anxiety attacks, blah, blah. It's so interesting, though, nowadays, like I said last night, I come from Generation X. So, I was watching one of the videos about Generation X recently, and they were, one of the shorts, and they said in there that during that time, if there was any kind of mental illness that any of us may have had, it was overlooked because that just was not that day in time. That was like for people, that was like rare. That was the thought. People had any kind of mental illness, mental anything, okay? So if there was any, guess what? We just dealt with it and overcame it. And that's what the video said. And I laughed. I was like, that is so true. Because now that I, have worked with children and whatnot, when I first started working with children and stuff, and I was like, they overdiagnosed these kids. Ain't nothing wrong with these kids. That was my thought when I first started doing it. But the more I experienced, the more I worked with them, the more I looked, and I was like, some of these things are so real. Like, I'm sitting here playing with these cards. And one of the positions I had as a sub, I was a student support coordinator, which was basically discipline. So I worked in the office and administrative. And this girl I had an office. This girl comes to the office one day, and I think it was my first day. And she said, can I get a fidget? This was middle school. And I looked at her, I said, can you get what? She said a fidget, because I was sharing the office with someone, and she wasn't there that day. Mind you, this was my first day. And I was like, a fidget? I'm looking at her like, what are you talking about? And she knew where they were. She said, they're in that box over there. And I said, okay, go ahead. So she grabbed one, and you know what fidgets are. And I looked at her, I was like, that's a fidget? She said, yeah, I'm going to take a test. I'm about to take a test, and I need it. And I was just like, okay, I hope this does not end, because I don't have that much juice on here. I got the phone plugged up, but charging, but still, if it does, I'll just come back later. I didn't realize I didn't have hardly any juice on my phone. But anyway, and I was sitting there thinking, I was like, see, we ain't have all that. We ain't have, this is my thought, you know, I'm thinking, we ain't have all that. We ain't have all these issues and problems these kids got nowadays, you know. And then it hit me, you had fidgets. Your fidget was your barrette that you played in your hair. It was loose, twisting your hair all the time. When your the pin cap, you did. But there weren't things set in place the way they are now. So I was talking to my daughter one day about anxiety. People have anxiety, and I told her, I said, some of the things that I see young people deal with nowadays. At first, my attitude again was, ain't nothing wrong with these kids. They just overdiagnosing these children. Ain't nothing wrong with these children. This was my thought. We ain't have all these problems. And then I was like, they just trying to give them medicine, money and whatnot. Though one lady who does work in that profession, she did tell me there is a problem with overdiagnosis. That is true, but it's not like one extreme or the other. And I said, the anxiety. I said, I do think we have that, but we just called it just being nervous. I'm nervous. And you just, whatever you had anxiety about, you still marched through it. And just, again, different time period. There wasn't the things that are in place now, they weren't in place back then. I had one teacher I was talking to, she's Gen X too. I think she's like 49 or something like that, or 50. And she said she's a teacher. So she was doing some work and planning and whatnot. And she came across a particular issue that, young people have. And she said, I can't remember what it was. She said, I realized looking at that, she said, I had that. I said, what did you do? She said, what did we do? We didn't do anything. We just lived with it, and we lived through it. It wasn't even something we talked about or acknowledged. I feel this or I feel that. You just felt it, and you lived, and you worked through it, with it. It was no talking about it, because what was there to talk about? That's normal. That was a thought that's normal. Okay, and that's the end of that. So me doing this here with the cards while I talk is that fidget, and that's okay. We all do. Every one of us has something. But anyway, I was talking about the anxiety. So I had this anxiety attack, panic attack. Honey, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Okay. I do think someone placed something in my house, okay, trying to get rid of me, trying to wipe me off the face of the earth. They voodoo, hexes, curses, spell shit. A white powder that I found later on, okay. I don't know if that triggered it, or if I was just my body was due to go through perimenopause. Like the lady who raised me at the time, I thought she was my biological mother. She went with me to the doctor one time. And I told the doctor my symptoms. He was like, "Oh, it sounds like you're going through menopause." And he said, your shit should fall in line like with your mother's, okay? Basically, like women, He looked at her and asked her, he said, when did you start, going through it? And she was just, I don't know, And, well, that was always the answer. That's a whole nother video. I don't know. So honestly, I had no connection to know anything about my biological mother and when she was going through whatever, okay? Because I used to get cramps and all kind of shit. Lady Raven was like, I never had any of that, My pregnancy, it was not an easy one, It was normal, but that first trimester, it was normal. But it was, I didn't like it. The heartburn and the nausea, oh my God, it was just too much for me. And but she, Lady Raven was like, I didn't have all of that, Well, okay. All right. So I had no connection, but at the time I didn't know that. But anyway, back to the perimenopause stuff. I had a couple of anxiety attacks, okay? Panicking, panic attacks, what everyone call it. Go to the emergency room or whatever. One time they let me, they sent me home. We can't find nothing wrong with you. Okay, fine. Another time I go, and the lady hardly helped me. The lady doctor started to say anything, and she was about to let me go, and I told her, no, you haven't done anything. there's something wrong with me, and I'm not leaving until you do something and you at least look to try to find something. So another doctor came in because she saw I wasn't going to deal with no shit. Okay, I'm not dealing with your shit. You're going to do what the fuck you're supposed to do. And another doctor came in and he did whatever, he's very nice, he's very kind. And he said, would you like to, because I told him, I said, why don't you just admit me, goddamn, to find out something is wrong. I've been dealing with this for however long, blah, 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 this, that, and other. He said, fine, no problem. So they admitted me to the hospital overnight. And the doctor that I had, he came in, he was like, we cannot find anything wrong with you. They tested my heart. They were like, your heart is strong as an ox. Okay, you are fine. And it was so funny because I was like, I do smoke cigarettes, okay? I'm not like a pack a day smoker and all of that kind of thing, okay? And I got to crying. I said, well, maybe because I smoke, and he was like, well, how many packs a day do you smoke? And I was like, packs? I was like, I don't smoke no packs a day, And he said, and I said, well, maybe it's because of my coffee, how much coffee I drink. And he said, well, how many cups a day do you drink? I was like, 1, maybe 2, and he kind of laughed. When I told him I only smoke he said, how many cigarettes do you smoke? I was like, maybe like 5 a day. And he was like, why? He said, I'm not telling you to smoke, but he was like, why are you wasting your time? He said, listen, we have people that come in here who smoking 3 packs a day, 5 packs a day, drinking 8 cups of coffee a day. He's like, we literally can't find anything wrong with you. So every time I would go to the doctor, okay, I kept getting this, we can't find anything. Be very careful though, because I had one woman who's a doctor who does not work where I met with her at, who wanted to operate on me. And she told me what she thought it was. No test, what she thought it was. And she said, oh, but when you go home, don't look it up, bitch, please. At first I said, okay. But then, of course, I looked it up and I was like, I don't have that. Sorry, I don't have that. And you're not about to cut up on me. Okay. Thank you for the 2 thumbs up. Thank you to all who have joined. And you're not about to cut up on me. Sorry, lady. Okay. Okay, you got a vacation to go on, whatever your issue is. It's not going to happen. Okay. But anyway, so I remember one in particular time I had one of my little panic attacks. I think I went at least to the emergency room 3 times with these panic attacks. Again, this was before I knew anything. And oh my God, I could feel, the back of the, ambulance, and I could just feel the adrenaline. Okay, I didn't know that's what it was, but I could just feel it just racing up and down, like in my body. I thought I was having a heart attack. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? What has happened to me? Because I was never a sickly person, okay? And when things kind of begin, I wrote this letter to my daughter because I'm thinking I'm dead. I thought I was out of here, And I'm praying to God, just give me a little more time, because again, I didn't know what was happening, and no doctor, the test they were taking, the tests were coming up, everything is fine, we can't find anything, etc., etc. Well, finally, when things began to kind of settle just a little bit, I remember looking at the lady who raised me one day, and I looked at her and I said, maybe it's hormonal. Maybe this is hormonal. Like, I'm 40-something, my cycle is lighter. And she was just like, I don't know, maybe, that's another story, okay? So I'm going through all this. Oh, that one time, that last time that I had that, and I wrote the letter to my daughter and whatnot, I woke up, I lost days. I went home, went to sleep, and I woke up, and I called the lady who raised me. I said, are you going to church today? And she said, huh? Church? And she said, it's only Tuesday. I was thinking it was, or Thursday or something like that. I was thinking it was Sunday morning. I had lost, time or whatever. But anyway, going through all this. Anyway, finally, okay. It was a lot of shit going on. And finally, I had even developed, what is it called? Agoraphobia, where I was scared to go out of the house. Me? Please, I was always out, running the streets, okay, out there, living. But, I could not baby myself. I could not coddle myself. I had shit to do. I had to work. I had to live. So I slowly, pushed myself. Like one day, Just open the door, stand on the porch. And I opened the door, I stood on the porch. I was shaking like a leaf, ran back in the house. It was like, tomorrow, go to the edge of the porch. That's what I did. The next day, go to the bottom of the steps. That's what I did. The next day, walk to the uh, driveway. That's what I did. The next day, get in the car. Okay. The next day, get in the car and drive around the corner. And that's what I did. Because I knew that no matter what, I could not sit down and do nothing. I didn't have felt that kind of choice in my life. And I was just not that kind of person either, despite me not really knowing what was happening. Well, finally, like I said, when things settled down, I'm doing my own research on Google and all this kind of stuff. And it hit me, I was like, maybe this is hormonal. Maybe I'm going through, like, I didn't know anything about perimenopause. I had never heard of perimenopause. I had only heard of menopause. Okay. So I just kind of started researching, and then I see this word, a great website I found, okay, on perimenopause. And by God, everything that they were saying on that website, I was like, boom, boom, check, 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 check. Everything on there is what was happening to me. Okay. This was before I went to the doctor, and then he said, well, you're probably going through menopause. Okay. Everything. And I was like, my God. Every symptom that I was experiencing was on that website. Okay. Again, my God, this is what's happening to me. Okay. And so what I did, that website led me to a group on Facebook, like a support group on Facebook for women going through perimenopause. So I joined the group, and then I found more groups. There were like, I don't know how many tons of groups for support groups for women going through perimenopause on Facebook. I joined like about 5 or 6 of them. Okay. And it was the most helpful thing in the world, because I didn't know what was happening to me. And reading the posts, engaging with the other women. I mean, we're talking about, how it is. I mean, there were women on there from South Africa. It was one lady on there. She was a princess. she was some kind of an African princess. I can't remember what part of Africa she was, but she was an African princess. It was a woman from Sweden. You know what I'm saying? Which I love the internet. The reason, that whole international thing, you talk to people like that. Again, lots of have anything like that. Okay. But anyway, it was a lifesaver. It was an absolute lifesaver, because thank you for the 3 thumbs up. I was able to go on there, read posts about women going through things, because some of the symptoms I would look up symptoms of perimenopause. One time I found a list like 20 symptoms. Another time I found a list like 60 symptoms. Another time I found a list like 80 symptoms. And there was one lady who got on there and I can't remember what research she had done, but she had found this doctor, and he was old school doctor, really old school. And he was like, there are hundreds of symptoms of perimenopause. Okay. And because if you find you having a symptom and you see a list of only 20 things and that symptom isn't on there, then you get scared as shit. You get scared shitless. Now, I'm not telling anybody don't go to the doctor. You damn sure better go to the doctor. Okay. And unfortunately, there was this thing about some doctors not believing in perimenopause. What the fuck you mean you don't believe in it? Okay. There's enough research, goddamn, by medical professionals to say this is a real thing. And this is something that women go through. And perimenopause it's before menopause. Menopause is when you go 12 months without a cycle. Now, let me just say real quick about that. You can go 12 months and not have your period. And then 2 months after that, boom, here's a period. Okay. It doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong with you. It's just like there is no necessarily tried and true black and white to it. Generally 12 months. Now, there are some doctors who say 24 months, okay, without a period. Then you enter menopause. Perimenopause is a time period. I'm going to read it, okay, for you, because, I'm not just going to talk out my ass. Okay. Perimenopause is a natural transition phase in a woman's reproductive cycle that occurs before menopause. It's characterized by changing hormone levels, especially what? Estrogen and progesterone, as the ovaries gradually stop working. Perimenopause can begin as early as a woman's 30s, but most often starts between the ages of 40 and 44. It can last a few months to a fucking decade, with an average length of about 4 years. Now, like I said, okay, I was like about 42, 43 when I first started experiencing symptoms. Now, it said it can start as for women as early in their 30s. Listen, there were women in those groups who started in their fucking 20s. Started having symptoms in their 20s. Not a lot, but there were. Okay. Now, at the time, I was so gung-ho when I found these groups and shit. I was trying to tell people about it. My Facebook I had at the time, I was trying to tell people about it, and I was reading some other people's shit they was going through. I'm like, this sounds like perimenopause. Okay, I ain't saying don't go to the doctor, but here, join these groups. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am not one to get on here and talk about black, white, purple, green, and people and their race and all of that kind of thing. But I am going to say this. It was highly disappointing that the majority of the women in those groups were white women. Very, very few black women were in those groups. And there were at least maybe definitely one for sure, but I think 2 women who black women I told about it, they got in the groups, but they didn't, it's like, I can't say they didn't participate. You don't have to post shit. You can just read, okay, for yourself. But it was like black women didn't care. And even sometimes in having the conversation outside of the internet, clam up. What the fuck is wrong with you? This shit is for real. And the unfortunate thing is, like I said, the majority of the women in the groups were white women. So, I mean, the conversation was just, sometimes it was downright hilarious, okay, the things, okay, that some of these women were going through and that they were talking about and whatnot. They were fun, actually, okay? But most of the women said that their mothers, they didn't know anything about menopause. Their mothers didn't tell them shit. And then when they would talk to their mothers about it, like at this age in 40s and 50s, there's mothers probably in their 60s and 70s. Some of the mothers were like, I don't remember. I didn't go through that. And it's like, you did. The girls are like, the daughters are like, you did. You were doing this, you were doing that, the hot flash, blah, blah, blah. And they literally like, I don't remember. Thank God. Hopefully by the time you get to that age, you don't remember, because the shit can be just downright traumatic. It can. Okay? Because in those groups, there were women who you could say, make a post, I'm feeling blah, 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 blah. Is it just me? And inevitably, oh my God, it was a lifesaver. Inevitably, here come a whole long thread for 30, 40 women. Oh my God, I'm feeling the exact same thing. I thought it was just me. Okay, so it's not just you. Okay, some symptoms that you experience, you can't really even fucking describe it. Now, I remember when I was a little girl, and I grew up in church, okay? And I used to see, I was little. And I used to look at, now we're talking about a whole different time period. We're talking about, what was I was born in 72, I was in the 70s. Okay. There wasn't this thing back then about women having to stay trying to look young for the rest of their days. No. Okay. They aged, and they let the age happen. Okay, I'm not saying take care of themselves. I'm saying there wasn't this thing about everybody going to the gym trying to have a slim waist and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying anything is wrong with it. I'm just saying that was not the time. They didn't do that back then. So I used to look around at all the older ladies, and I remember thinking to myself one day, how come all the grandmas is fat? How come all the grandmas is fat? Well, I understand now, when you get older, what happens in this perimenopausal process. And it's not like, you don't go out this way, you spread it, literally like your midsection, like spreads across this way. Okay. And when I was doing my research, Okay. A lot of times, what happens with women gaining weight? I mean, you can see an older woman, middle-aged older woman. She may be thin everywhere else, but have a belly. And the reason is, even if it's a small one, the reason is because of the loss of the hormones, okay, and the levels dropping. The body goes into a self-preservation mode, a survival mode, and it creates fat cells, okay, so that the human body can survive. It's not about, oh, you're just a fat slob and you're just eating. Education is important. And with the goddamn internet and this shit right in our hands, it's just the press of a button. But you can only go where your mind goes. You're not going to research something if you don't even think about it. Or you think it's not going to be you. You think it's not going to happen to you. Now, there are some women, fewer, who don't experience any symptoms. And sometimes some women can experience symptoms, but can be so busy with life that they don't even pay attention to the symptom that they're experiencing. Especially if women may have some kind of a substance abuse issue, you may not even feel the symptom half the time, depending on the level and the degree of your substance abuse issue. Okay. But it's horrendous. And all I remember them ever talking about was a hot flash. But they don't tell you that a hot flash, what can precede a hot flash, is dizziness, headaches, feeling like you're about to fall over, losing your equilibrium when you walk. There were women that happened to, where they would lose their equilibrium and just fall out of the blue. It is a symptom. Believe it or not. Do fucking research. Very well happen to you. Now, did I experience losing my equilibrium when I'm walking? Hell. Did I experience vertigo? Not dizziness here, but with the room fucking spinning? You goddamn right. Could I just lay there in the bed and not move? No, I didn't have a choice. I had to get the fuck up. So what did I do? I looked up what to do about this goddamn vertigo. And I did the exercise. I got up out of the bed, did the exercise that was there, and it stopped it. It happened to me twice, and it stopped it each time. Okay. I see people say things, and this is nothing against. Please, I do not want that type of shit. But I see people say, I do tarot, okay? Don't consider myself in the spiritual community or in any fucking community. I'm me. I'm in my community of myself. Because tarot is not the only thing that I've done on this channel. And it's probably the only thing that I'm going to do. That's where I'm at right now. But I've seen people say, oh, when you heating up, when you sweating, that means A, B, C, and D. Or somebody's doing some work on you. Okay. But I know one thing for damn sure. It is very normal, like it says right here in a natural process thing. Transition phase for women. What did it say? Can start as early as their 30s. Some in their, like I said, I met women online who started transitioning in their 20s with perimenopause. One research article that I read said that actually the woman can hit her hormonal peak in her teenage years, and then once something hits its peak, what does it do? It begins to decline. That doesn't mean that you're 16 and it hit its peak and then the next day you're going to wake up and you begin to experience these things. No, it takes time. Things happen over time. That's why 1 or 2 years before you actually hit menopause of not having a period. Perimenopause can last, it said, a decade. There were some research articles that I read that said it can last for 20 years. It can last anywhere from a few weeks to 20 years, possibly more. I love it to hear younger people. I don't understand the disrespect that people have nowadays for people who have lived a life. And you think you can call them names. You think you can call them whatever you want to call them and be nasty and mean-hearted and all of that type of thing. And you have no respect. I'm not saying if someone is disrespectful to you, I get it. But just no respect for a person's experience, their life, or anything. Just none. But I love to hear when people call younger people call older people, you old bitch. You old this. You old bitches. Because I don't know. I don't know what the personal reason is that's necessary. I mean, I've said it in time. I'm not going to lie. But I do know one thing for goddamn sure. It's only one thing that stops the aging process. It don't take a fucking genius to know what I mean. Death. So, you will age if you don't die before that time. And you will experience, just like every other human being walking there, these women were from all over the globe. European countries, South America, Africa, the African princess was on there, from all places. The woman from Sweden, call me, honey. Let's talk about this shit, okay? From all over. We talk spirituality, but we disrespect the crone. I don't think that, I don't know if I would be in the crone phase or I'm at the beginning phases of the crone phase. That does not bother me. Because Western society and 3D that does not rule and regulate my being. It doesn't. And I certainly hope for any other woman out there that you don't allow it to rule and regulate your being either. This is very real. The plantar fasciitis, guess what? That's a perimenopausal symptom. I took my daughter one time. My daughter did Girls on the Run. I was fine. I took her all the way to the school to do it. Got out the car. I was in such excruciating pain, I could barely walk. Now, when I got up that morning, my hip was fine. When I got to my car, my hip was fine. When I got out and this was long before I got on this motherfucking YouTube with my first channel. But when I got out that car at that place, I could barely walk. Like I needed a fucking cane. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck is this? I walked my ass the best way I could over there so she could do her event. Was feeling dizzy. Dizziness is another perimenopausal symptom. What do you need? Water. Went and drank some water. It stopped the dizziness. Went home. Woke up the next day. The pain went from like 1,000 to like 20. Woke up the day after that. It was gone. Another perimenopausal symptom where your joints bother you. Happened to me twice. This was years ago. Hasn't happened again. For me, I'm not telling nobody else what to do. A lot of the symptoms, they come for however long they come and they pass. Because your body is going through a transitional phase. It's like the hormones, they are your regulators. They're like batteries to the human body. And it's declining. So yes, you lose collagen in your skin. So your skin isn't as plump. Okay. Some women lose hair, but a lot of women, their hair texture changes. It's not just, oh, your period stopped and you get some hot flashes. I've not experienced this, but there are some women whose hot flashes are so intense that they have to take an extra bag of clothes to work because they literally sweat through their clothes. And you can say ill till the cows come home. If they could control it, don't you think that they would? You know how embarrassing that can be for a person? But does that mean that they stop living? Does that mean that they stop going to work? Does that mean that they stop doing what it is that they have to do? No. So what I did, like a human being with some fucking sense, I joined those support groups and I found the things that could help. Estrogen was something that you can find in the drugstore. It helped to a point. Ashwagandha helps. Anxiety is one of the top symptoms of perimenopause. I was not the only woman in those groups who was rushed to the emergency room because of a panic attack and not knowing that that's what the fuck it was. Some women had been, I remember one woman had been to the emergency room up to 20 times. Heart palpitations. Okay, all kinds of shit. I can't even think of all and everything right now. One day you have no appetite, you don't want to eat shit. And then you wake up one day, you are so ravenous. All you want to do is just eat, 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 eat. The body, the human body is going through a change. Just like when you have an infant and it's crying its fucking head off because it's teething. It's going through a change. Or you can say about your teenage boys or your preteens, they eat me out of house and home. They eating everything because their body is growing. It needs food to maintain. And it's becoming, you know, that manly whatever. Okay. Some girls too will go through that. The body doesn't stop changing just because you hit 20 or 30 and you think you're fucking cute. And you should think you're cute. But you should be educated about who you are and what's happening and what can happen in your life. Vitamin D3, 5,000 IU is excellent, excellent, excellent for hot flashes. I haven't been taking that shit for a while, but I need to. And because when you stop, what happens? Just like when you stop anything. Okay. But I have, for myself, I learned on these Facebook groups, it is tried and true. It is excellent for hot flashes. I have not experienced sweating like that through my clothes where I had to change clothes. But I do sweat now. I get really hot. Before it was just like an internal furnace. But now I will sweat, okay? Not through my clothes or anything like that. Okay. But these things are real and these things, they happen. I have no shame. Like we read last night for the coming to the carpet. And Oshun, the goddess Oshun, was telling us through the zodiac sign of Aries to look at ourselves and be accepting of ourselves and who we are and our physical self. Okay, it affects you spiritually, it affects you mentally, it affects you emotionally, it affects you in every way. I was watching a comedian one time, it was so funny, and he was talking about how he survived his wife's perimenopause. That is a time period where a woman, you can be very moody. You can see life from such a different, it may not be, it's like when you're pregnant, your hormones is every which way, or you're a preteen and your hormones, or a teenager, your hormones are every which way, and you don't see clearly because of the hormonal and the transitional phase that your body is going through. Okay. I'm trying to think of some other things that are good. Black cohosh is another herb that people recommend. Black cohosh, ashwagandha, again, vitamin D3, 5,000 IU. Not 1,000, not 2, not 3, 5,000 IUs. That's some good shit. Okay. Wow, flashes. There's a store here, a health store called Weber's. It's been here ever since I can remember. Okay, probably in the 60s that store opened. They got you may not be here, but I'm just saying they got a great whole section for women who are going through perimenopause of various vitamins and herbs and stuff that you can take. Okay, to assist you, to help you. Okay, as you're going through this change or this cycle of life. All right. I know some women said, fuck it, I'm just going to take some HRT. Okay. Put them hormones back in place and get my shit back in order. I tried that. I went to the gynecologist and look, bitch. This is what I'm going through. This is what I'm experiencing. And my mistake, initially I said, I think I'm going through perimenopause. And she said, you know, and by that point, I had it up to here for shit. And she said, what's perimenopause? I don't have time for games. I looked at her and said, you don't know? Well, since you don't know, I'm leaving and I'm going to find a gynecologist who does know. And she said, no, wait a minute now. I'm not trying, what do you think perimenopause is? I said, I'm not going to tell you what I think it is. I'm going to tell you what I know it is because I've done the research. And I believe this is what I'm experiencing. Okay, so, we got to talking and she was doing her exam and she said, you are probably going through that. I know the fuck I am. But she didn't want to give me the HRT. She said, because, when you get a certain age, you have to come off of it. And guess what? The body is still going to go through its cycle. Okay. Now when I was in those groups on Facebook, there were women in there whose mothers was like in their 70s and 80s still taking that shit. These bitches was like, fuck it, I don't want to go through that. Okay, it's not easy. But what for a woman is in all reality. Okay. So anyway, she wanted to give it to me. I go to she was a middle-aged woman. I go to a male doctor in his 20s. I said I ain't gonna, just for my general, whatever, a checkup. And I said, I ain't gonna tell him what I think. And he said, what's your symptoms? I told him, he said, well, it sounds like you're going through menopause. And I told him what happened with the gynecologist. And he just shook his head and he was like, it's ridiculous. I know it's ridiculous. Okay. But anyway, but I understand because she may have so many people come in there. They may have so many people come in there. Who knows? I don't know. Okay. All right. But anyway, I wanted to share that. Okay. So if there is anybody, because like I said, I want to talk about it. I can't think of anything right now. What I say? Ashwagandha, black cohosh, the vitamin D3 is excellent. Okay, you may find something at your, health food store. I mean, I don't mean like Whole Foods and nothing like that, or them commercialized places. They might, but I don't know. I'm talking about your local, show enough, grassroots, got the show enough shit. Okay, that stores like the Whole Foods and whatnot are trying to get rid of. Okay, there are still some out there, and they need people's support because these stores are closing. There was a excellent place here, the food co-op. Okay. Usually with this, when I was vegan, you used to go in there and get all your shit, all your herbs, everything. Okay. But when Whole Foods came through, okay, they knew that they weren't going to last. Okay. It was a food co-op. They were struggling anyway, but they knew they weren't going to last. And unfortunately, they didn't. And the building is torn down now. Not that easy to find those fresh herbs like that locally without having to order the shit online. Okay. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you all. I got this neck fan. Because like sometimes, like I say, I'll get to sweating and whatnot. I was working a couple years ago at one of the schools, middle school, and a lady had one, but it didn't look like this. She had the one with the little, where you can see the blades and whatnot. And I was like, oh my God, I need that right there. You know what I'm saying? She's going through perimenopause. Okay. I think that lady might be menopausal, if I remember correctly. And she like 1 year older than me. Okay. Everything comes with its goods and its bads and its ups and its downs and all of that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a wonderful time in one respect. It really is. Okay. But it's just a transitional phase that you have to get through. Now, some women, once they hit menopause, they don't have shit, no more symptoms, they don't have shit. Okay. Or some women still may have some, but a lot of women have said that they continue to have hot flashes. It's so funny. I was watching a video. This was back then. Okay. I think I saw it on Facebook. And it was this white family. They were sitting around talking and whatnot. And the mother, the lady, she looked like she probably was like in her 50s. All of a sudden, she just started ripping off her shirt and took off her shirt. And everybody's like, what the hell? They started laughing. She laughed herself. She was having a hot flash. You know what I'm saying? And she can hit you like that sometimes. And sometimes, you can even, it's something about sometimes eating and whatnot. Okay? Sometimes you can eat and, don't know, and you'll be hot flashing. I ain't talking about eating hot foods neither. Okay, I was like, when I go see God, I'm just gonna be like, now we got to talk about this design. this woman's design. And I always felt like there's God. I want to know the spiritual connection between a woman going through perimenopause, the physical aspects of it, spiritually, And the reason I say that is because my aunt, my dad's sister, she gave me a packet one time. She's a very spiritual person. This was years ago. She gave me a packet about the symptoms of the ascension symptoms. And I read it, I was reading, and I looked at her, I said, a lot of these symptoms are the same exact thing as perimenopausal symptoms. And she was like, yeah, I know. I said, I wonder what is the connection? Is it like a woman ascending to, her highest state of being, that crone phase, okay, that people want to, you old bitch and you old this and that. Okay. Who, I want to say without her aging in her experience, okay, she could not share with you or be a guide to you or a loving, nurturing grandmother, the grandmother, even the great grandmother to you. It ain't just grandma, just a word. The mother who is grand, the mother who has gone through these steps and has experienced being, the child, the maiden, so on and so forth, okay, whatever all the levels are, okay, and is there to love on you as you mother and nurture your child and give that child nurturing as well and comfort, just like we saw in the movie Beloved, okay? Just like we saw in the movie Beloved, when that girl was going through that shit, when Oprah was out there dealing with her the child that was deceased and whatnot, and that girl was going through all that, who was comforting her? Her ancestor, her mother, but her mother that is grand, the crone. Okay. What is the spiritual meaning of the crone? The literature describes the crone archetype as a pre-existent, the collective unconscious that embodies instinctive ways of what? Channeling wisdom, inner knowing, and intuition, guiding us through the transition of life and going inward to bring forth the light for transformation. So you laugh at that and you scoff at that and you call it an old bitch and you have nothing to share. You have nothing and you're a nobody and you're an old lady and all of these things. I feel like, women, the crone stage of life, more than any other, of course, is a time of giving back to society the cumulative wisdom of the years. Of course. Many women have to argue to speak out, to organize others to take action. They seem to have the energy more involved. They seem to have the energy to be more involved in the world at large. Okay. But of course, because she has the experience, the life experience, has walked those walks. And I just feel like some of this is, we have to stop listening to the society wants us to self-destruct. Or I'll say this, the powers that be, who really don't have no power, who eating up off our power. They want us to self-destruct. They want us to fight. They want us to hate each other. They want that. They don't want us to respect ourselves. They don't want to respect those that have gone before us. They don't want those who have gone before us to even be respectful of themselves. Because some of the shit going on nowadays, grand diva, if you want to call yourself that, fine. But I know and understand the mother. What is the word? What mother is basically the same in every language. Mother, Mary, mommy, in some way, shape, or form, some derivative thereof, in every language. Just about every language. This is not something that I'm just saying off the top of my head. No, this is something that I've researched, read, and studied. The mother, the woman. If they can get you to disrespect yourself and not respect you in your age and so on and so forth, well, your experience don't matter. Of course the younger generation will look at you, don't matter. Okay. But you can do that with all and everybody. You keep that in its place. You got an issue with that one over there, you keep that shit over there in its place. Don't bring that shit over to my fucking door. I have no issue with my fucking age, nor my experience. And I'm fucking 52. I don't understand why you all think 30s is old, 40s is old, 50s is old. It's not. That's prime. But I know one thing. When I did look at all them fat grandmas in that church, they carried a level of respect. And didn't nobody fucking play with it. You keep it over there. And you can't say you like an old lady in one voice and then call somebody old lady to put them down. You don't know what that is. It's not something just to say. That's for any goddamn body. Okay? But nevertheless, stop acting for other women like the shit doesn't. Because my daughter saw me going through the shit, and I explained to her from the rooter to the tutor what everything was, so that she would not, like myself and those other women and hundreds and thousands of women in them groups that I was in, them support groups, sitting up there in shock when the shit hit, because their mothers would not talk to them about it because of the shame of aging, because this society who wants to focus just like young is it. Guess what? Young ages. And wants to take you and ball you up and throw you out like trash. Why? Because they don't want your experience to be taught to the younger generation to help them and to assist them make good choices. Because they, the society or the powers that be, whoever and whatever they are, want to control them and control their minds and take their minds and take hold of their life and their spirit and their minds to destroy them. They don't care about fucking destroying the society. Who? They don't give a fuck. Because all it's leading to is ultimate control. I think it's shit like the Hunger Games, movies like that. What do they call them? Dystopias. That's what the shit is leading to. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay. Not just an opinion. It is an opinion. But I've had conversations with teachers who teach this shit, and they're telling me that's exactly what it's leading to. Give a damn. Talk to your daughters. Tell them, now, you know, when you're young, a lot of times, and you think shit ain't gonna happen to you. That's a part of being, that's a part of youth. That's a part of being young. It's just a part of it. It's part of the process of life and living. But at least you have planted the seed. So when they're old, they won't depart from it. This shit hit. I mean, my mother told me, let me go get this black cohosh. Let me do some research on this. Let me go to the doctor and check my hormone levels, my thyroid, my et cetera, to see where I'm at exactly in this process of life. That's very real. And see how the benefit of it, because every stage and age of life is beneficial. All right. You can't talk shit about men if you have not experienced it. When I was pregnant, is this, is that, is this, is that. Before I got pregnant or in my early stages or whatever, and I went through like that. Nobody can tell you what it's like for you. until you experience it. All right. So that's the end of that. That's all I wanted to say. Okay. I was hoping to. I'm hearing vitamin E. That's good as well. And I'm sure there are more. I can't remember everything. I years ago when I was going through this, I started a YouTube channel way back to talk specifically about this. I put up a couple videos. I didn't really wasn't consistent with it, and I haven't. So I deleted the channel. It was so long ago. Okay, because I think that we got stop not talking about these things. Well, I mean, we got to stop being so archaic, trying to avoid it, trying to be being scared of it, clamming up. Why are you clamming up? You went through it. I don't care who told you that was bad. I don't care who told you that meant you ain't no good no more because you're getting to the place where you can no longer bear children. Why the fuck would you want to? At fucking 50, 60, 70 years old, any goddamn way. That's for a younger person who's able-bodied to handle and run after and all blah, blah, blah. And there are women who, listen, there are women who've had children during no perimenopause. Or no, menopause. All things are possible. But there are, I ain't saying it's a all the time thing. I think it's rare, but it has happened. Let somebody tell you because you got gray hair, you ain't worth a damn, and you old. So the fuck what? So the fuck are you talking about? Does that have to do with anything? That's what happens to people. They age. That's called normal. That's called natural. They want to claim to be like an old person. It doesn't make sense. So anyway, just wanted to share that for women who, and there are women. I love YouTube. There are video after video after video about perimenopause. It's about time. Thank God that the generation that I'm in said enough is enough. We're going to talk about this. We're going to educate others about this and do so with no shame. So that when younger women come along, that they're prepared. And so that we don't feel isolated, like thrown. Okay. And because of the things that women go through during that time period, historically, they used to throw women during that time period in insane asylums and all type of shit. These are the things they did to women. And some of this stuff was not really, historically, really wasn't that long ago. Wake up. It's time to wake up. Men go through it too. It's called andropause. Look it up. You know how they say, oh, he's just going through, what did they say for men? It was a saying they used to say, I can't remember right now. Okay, or how they want to see if they still got it. These phrases, these things were said because they were going through that period of life called andropause, where they were aging and questioning themselves. The hormone. Some of them have some hot flashes. I don't know. That's what I found out. It's not. If it ain't talked about women, you damn sure know it ain't talked about with men. Okay. All right. It's called aging. Unless you plan on dying before that time period hits you, guess what? It's gonna hit you too, and that's okay. You should. It's part of life. It's part of the being human. Love it. And love who you are. No, I know some people may be looking like, I don't love that shit, bitch. I'm saying just embrace the time period of life that you're in. That's it. All right. I was going to do a reading on it, but me and my daughter want to hit the streets, okay? And enjoy ourselves out there this summer. All right. So you all have favor. Peace.